All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball and welcome to episode 23. After a full season almost, we're down to it. One more game to go. The championship weekend has wrapped up. So, without any more wait, let's get right into it.
Yeah, so obviously, we are closing out the season. Excuse me. This will be most likely a very short episode since there's only 2 games to cover, and we will not be going over the Super Bowl matchup until next week. Just keeping the same time, just for time purposes, reasoning for the Super Bowl. So but we'll go into a little bit more depth. It's unlike a regular episode since it will be a little bit shorter. But yeah. Just 2 games, obviously how we do give our honest thought, and we'll throw in some little news after just to keep the episode a little lengthy because we do have some new coaching hires recently and some couple news. So obviously, I'm not gonna waste no more time. Let's get right into it. So obviously with the first game, which is the NFC Championship, I guess others can say this was not fair, but hey, I mean you can't control it. But the Niners and the Eagles. Now, obviously, you could say for the Niners, it was over before it started. The Eagles on their first drive, I believe, really just kicked it in. Miles Sanders putting the Eagles on top first, and this next drive, Brock Purdy, man, I think it was just UCL, I believe that he injured his UCL. Yes, Hassan Riddick. Obviously, Hassan Riddick having a very underrated year. Not really underrated since he is getting noticed, but he is having a very good year. He should be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation, but we'll leave that for next week's episode. Actually, we'll go a little bit after the end of the episode. But yeah, he obviously forced pressure, doing what he did best, man. And I mean, unfortunately, I wouldn't say he caused an injury. I wouldn't say it's on him. I would say just unfortunate. Get that pressure, hit the arm, and Purdy just happens to get his UCL injured, and because of that, Josh Johnson has to step in, and from there, and then he ends up getting injured later. So obviously, all their quarterbacks went down. Christian McCaffrey threw one pass. It was I think it was Devo or Ayuk. They were wide. I think it was Ayuk, but they were wide open. If McCaffrey just put less power, it would have been a touchdown, possibly get him back in the game. McCaffrey, he really carried this team on his back. As soon as Brock Purdy came down, I think he broke 3-4 tackles to score that. I think like 20-something yard touchdown to get him back in the game, tying the game 7-7. But obviously the Eagles, with that offense, and obviously Jalen Hurts having, I would say, a pretty awful game, just 121 yards. But still got the win. He's going to the Super Bowl in just his second season as a full-time starter. So obviously that's something. Obviously people can say,
his third season.
I'm sorry.
Third season. No, that's fourth season, but yeah.
Third season. Excuse me. Third season in the league, but obviously second season as a full-time starter. Sure, and anyone can say, Eagles Mickey Mouse ring, strength of their schedule, and then the playoffs being the Giants, who were getting very overhyped, and then being the Niners with our quarterback. Sure, you can say all that. I could say all that because I'm a Cowboys fan. But obviously, I still got to give, the respect. They've been to the Super Bowl twice since 2017. Got to give the respect to Harry Roseman as well. He went all out on free agency, trading for Hassan Riddick, signing C.J. Gardner-Johnson, trading for A.J. Brown. He went all out last season, literally during the draft. He went all out, and got this team better. Jalen Hurts, build a team around him. Jalen Hurts, and it's looking for my Cowboys. That's something Jerry Jones can't do. But Cowboys, nothing has to do with them right now. This is about the Eagles right now. But obviously, props to the Eagles as well. But obviously, you can say anything you want, having cupcake run, cupcake schedule, but it all comes down to the Super Bowl next week. And obviously, this win over the Niners, sure. Obviously, again, you can say, this was blah blah blah, didn't really count. But hey, championship game, they couldn't control that. You didn't know what was gonna happen. Still a W. The Niners, D'Amico Ryan did leave, but we will talk about that later on for the news part. The Eagles, they got a good matchup against the Chiefs next week, and they got a lot of redoing offseason, got a lot of things to go over with the quarterback situation. Brock Purdy either going to start, or it's going to be Trey Lance, or maybe Jimmy Garoppolo stays, but that's very, very slim. The Eagles, got a lot of work to do. That city of Philly is very hype. I would be hyped too, but if me being a Cowboys fan, if the team would actually do something. But the city of Philly is great. Those Philly fans are gonna go through hell if they win, but hey, you can at least still get to enjoy it. And overall, this game in general, sure hurts. 121 yards, bringing back that up. It wasn't really a great performance by him. Miles Sanders really kind of did most of it. the defense of the Eagles also played well. I mean, because really they had no quarterback. Brock Purdy did step in again later on, but it was really just handoff, just dump passes, shovel passes, and it did not look good at all. So, and he will take 6 months to recover, and then the 49ers front office is going to do has a very tough situation to do with the quarterback situation of who's going to start next season.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it two ways for that quarterback situation. I mean, either like you're blessed that you have two really good guys. They'll be in a quarterback battle. You know, see who wins out to win that starting spot. But I mean, also the reality is, I mean, Trey Lance is really unproven. You see Brock Purdy, as good of a run he did have. Who knows if this turns out to be a little insanity type thing, that he just had a great run, but his magic runs out, the league figures him out, and now it could possibly he goes back to just, I don't know, being a random career journeyman backup. So you hope it doesn't look like that. I mean, for me, you know, I wouldn't mind it, you know, as a Rams fan, at that team in my division. But I mean, first you got that. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo is an unrestricted free agent, so realistically, he's gone this offseason. So now it's just seeing, can Trey Lance develop? Because you could see he is gonna probably get thrown back in. I mean, you get that, you give up I believe 3 first-round picks to get the right to draft him. I don't think they're gonna give up on him just yet. So Purdy's probably back to being a backup once he recovers, but it's gonna be an interesting situation to see what the Niners really end up doing with all these options they have. Of course, I mean, you mentioned over and over, it is an unfortunate situation, but it's football. You know, injuries happen, and I mean, the Eagles just capitalized. These two teams, you know, they were known for their defense, and in the first half, we saw that, at least for the most part. It was a 7-7 game in the first half, and sure, then the Eagles, you know, they really started picking it up, and they're up 21-7 at half. But you know, you see the Eagles defense to cause that. I mean, sure, it was an injury, but to cause a great turnover right away, just to carry the team overall. And I mean, look at that, they're in the Super Bowl. Obviously, too, there was the little controversy that in that first drive on the 4th and 3 that Devontae Smith catch. Obviously, we can all see it did hit the ground, but so much went into it. I mean, you could just see. I mean, can't really complain too much. It was a minimal call. Can probably see the Eagles were gonna end up running on with this anyway, but you know, not to drag this too much out. You hit most of the points right there. Just a great way to cap off the beginning of this playoff run for the Eagles. Say what you want about call it Mickey Mouse, call it their schedule easy, but they had nothing to do with it. They just did what they got their games. They got them won. They got the 1 seed. When you're the 1 seed, you get to play the easier teams. So they had an easier road to the Super Bowl, and good for them. And obviously they'll be in Arizona. So wrapping that up, we'll move on to the AFC Championship. Rematch of last year, of course. Burrow and Mahomes, highly anticipated. Of course, Burrow 3-0 in the 3-0 against Mahomes, 3-0 against the Chiefs. This time, Mahomes finally did get the better of him. It was a great game overall. It looked like the Chiefs were going to be running away with this. I mean, you see, they were absolutely dominant in that first quarter. I believe at one point the Chiefs offense had 110 yards while the Bengals had none, like near the end of the first quarter. So I see the Bengals couldn't get nothing going, but the Chiefs could only muster up 2 field goals. So the Bengals defense was really keeping this team in the game. And I mean, to the end, you see tied 20-20. You know, Burrow really willed them back when it looked like the Chiefs were dominating. But obviously, like I said, Burrow really kept them in it. It really just came down to those stupid mistakes. I mean, say what you want, these little ticky-tack penalties. I mean, the Eli Apple one, I mean, it's pretty clear that he was grabbing on. I don't remember who I think it was Valdez-Scantling. It was pretty clear that he got penalized, and Well, I mean that last play. I forget the guy's name, the guy that pushed Mahomes, but I mean,
Joseph Osai. I think
Joseph Osai. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you say about that play? 2 feet out of bounds. I mean, you can't say, oh, it's rigged, scripted, whatever. That's a clear penalty any day. I mean, they realistic. I mean, the Bengals ended up losing it on a bunch of stupid penalties, and I mean, it looks bad for him. Of course, Zach Taylor. Everyone was like really heated in the moment, but I mean, you got to accept it. And I mean, in the end, the Chiefs, back in the Super Bowl. Is it third time in the last 4 years, and the legend of Mahomes just continues to grow, man.
Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, obviously we both called the Chiefs here, and we, like I said, I've been saying this, good things do come to an end, and this was the game. Chiefs, like you said, once again, the Chiefs were dominating for the most part, but obviously after halftime leading 13-6, but obviously the Bengals rallied back to tie up this game. But you could say, like, again, what you said, it's rigged, this and that. That third down play where the Chiefs got another chance, but they were stopped once again. Sure, you can say, oh, blah blah blah, but the refs did call it dead. Sure, call it rigged, blah blah blah, this and that. But hey, sure, refs blew it dead. Move on from there. Bengals got so many other opportunities. Obviously, those 2 picks Burrow threw, that really costed them. It did cost them a lot. And now also moving on with the Joseph Osai situation. Sure, you can say, I wouldn't necessarily he blew it, The mistakes with the Bengals that they made, sure. Joseph Osai, looking at him, I think I was watching his film earlier, just out of boredom, and he had a fairly good game. He was run stopping, he was applying pressure to Mahomes, he was having a very, very good game, helping the Bengals out. But obviously, that play, everyone's on him for it, and I wouldn't say that applies to everything, man, because I mean, look, when you're obviously, we've never played it, but when you're looking at it, you're running full speed, your momentum's already there. It's kind of hard to stop running full speed, and it's kind of hard to stop as well from hitting the quarterback Mahomes when you're already out. It's just instincts, and then he ended up injuring himself, and that was an automatic flag. It sucks for him too, because after he saw that, emotions were running through, his teammates were cheering up, so. It's the second. I think he's the second year this year. Second year guy. He's playing well. He's got a good career ahead of him. It's just that one mistake. Really, sure you can. It did cost them. Don't get me wrong, but when you really look at it, the Bengals did make barely a lot of good, bad mistakes here. Burrow's picks, the play calling was a little off, and it didn't look good for the Bengals. There's so many opportunities to win this game, and when you give Mahomes that much time to come back, it's just the outcome you're gonna get. Joe Burrow, sure, yes. Again, the O-line was horrendous. Again, adding La'el Collins from the Cowboys, my Cowboys, adding him really didn't make a difference. He was getting cooked mostly by Micah Parsons. Very, very other good players I can name, right? That he's getting cooked by. That O-line is just horrendous. Joe Burrow sacked 3-4 times, I believe, maybe more. So the Bengals will have to be searching in the O-line market again. Ja'Marr Chase, I mean. He was pretty quiet, but T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd were pretty active. But hey, just the simple mistakes, man. The simple mistakes will kill you, and good luck to the Bengals next season. After starting 0-2, making playoffs in the championship, it's gonna be a lot. I would assume Burrow gets extended this offseason since he is undoubtedly their franchise quarterback. The first franchise quarterback, well, since Andy Dalton, you can say, but the first real actual quarterback. So obviously, once again, sure. You can say refs were on the Chiefs side, blah, blah, blah. But looking at Mahomes, he's going to the Super Bowl, and he's only been a starter for, 5 years? He's been a starter for 5 years, and he's going to go into the next Super Bowl. That's legacy. His legacy is building up. He can keep this up. He's possibly going to be greater than Brady. That may be a hot take, but hey, how he is and how this team is, the way Andy Reid is, having a Hall of Fame tight end with you, it's going to look great. Marquez Valdes-Scantling again cooking Eli Apple. 6 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown. That looked very good for him. I wouldn't say this was his legacy game, but I feel after leaving the Packers, coming to the Chiefs, he did step up a bit, and I do feel he will play a major part in the Super Bowl, especially with Isaiah Pacheco, man. As he started becoming more likable. I know, obviously after when they played your Rams, that's where he kind of started getting the hype. But Isaiah Pacheco, man, he's great. He's going to do great in Super Bowl. He's going to be a good run threat. He's got a great career ahead of him. And that's it's going to wrap up the NFL Conference Championships recap. Obviously, like we said, it's going to keep it a little short, but we'll keep it a little longer with some news that's been going around with the NFL lately. So to obviously start things off with the head coaching position, DeMeco Ryan.
Well, actually, before that, sure. Right before we get really into that, let's just obviously just 2 games, but there was wrap that up real quick. We do have we both went 2-0 in our predictions, of course. Yeah. We stay even, unfortunately. So it depends. See who we pick in the Super Bowl. So we'll get into that next week to really close out our playoff predictions. See if we get it uneven or if we actually get a nice disagreement in. But 2-0 this week, up to 8-4 in the playoffs overall. So very decent predictions at the moment. But of course now, Chiefs against Eagles. We'll get into that next week, and let's obviously just get into some news from that we have this week, just to extend this a little bit.
Yeah. So obviously, thank you for stopping right there. But yeah, as I said earlier this afternoon, DeMeco Ryan did agree with terms with the Houston Texans. So obviously, DeMeco Ryan leading that number 1 Niners offense that felt very, very bad in the playoffs. But hey, can't say anything wrong with that. Still had a phenomenal defense with those players, Fred Warner and Greenlaw, just all those great corners, Jimmy Ward. But he will be now the head coach of the Houston Texans. Now, obviously, with all the hype going around with Bryce Young joining the Texans, obviously it looks like he could have a great year with him. But I think earlier you were saying you expect that connection with Bryce Young and DeMeco Ryan to really push forward, help that Texans team. But looking at past, most coordinators, they don't really, they're not used to head coaching. I mean, you're looking at look at Matt Patricia. He was with the Lions for a couple years. He ends up going back to the Patriots. That's one really prime example I can really name. But hey, DeMeco Ryan with this technique and how he led that number 1 defense, I have a short feeling he could possibly turn the Texans around. But, with how that team's built, the defense and the offense and their quarterback situation, obviously adding Bryce Young, which is most likely going to go to the Texans, I feel that connection will grow strong and possibly turn the Texans franchise around. But obviously, we're just going to have to wait and see what DeMeco Ryan does. So, but I would say this is a very great head coach hiring, and let's just see if DeMeco Ryan lives up to the expectations.
Yeah, of course. To me, I mean, obviously, like what we were saying, it's a great hire. I mean, he's one of the best, one of the top defensive coordinators in this game. And I mean, sure, you could say that about Patricia. I mean, that's one guy who was just an awful head coach. But I mean, there's a lot of coaches out here, coordinators that have gone on to great careers. I mean, for right now, obviously it's barely starting out for him, but Robert Saleh with the Jets, I mean, you can see he's really turning up a really great culture there. It's obviously another defensive mind from the 49ers, from Kyle Shanahan's offense. So he learned from Kyle Shanahan's offense. So you got him. I'm sure an offensive mind in Mike McDaniels, but another guy that came out of the Niners, out of Shanahan's coaching tree, and it's another coach who's having success. So you see, I mean, a guy to learn under Kyle Shanahan, they're usually pretty successful. So that's the main reason I see DeMeco really having success. And I'm sure we'll wait and see what the Bears do with their first overall pick. See, I mean, if they do use it, then you would expect Bryce Young to hit the Texans. If they end up trading it, then who knows who they end up getting. But regardless, I do see this as a great step in the right direction for the Texans. Now, of course, another big move today, we got the Broncos and Saints finalizing a trade to send Sean Payton to the Broncos. Now, obviously, he spent a year away from coaching after he retired last season. Spent a year in broadcasting at Fox. I honestly do see this as a pretty good move. I mean, obviously, and we both alluded to this in the past. At least I do see the Broncos kind of bouncing back. Who knows if they can make the playoffs? That's to be determined. See what moves can be made in the offseason. But hiring a great coach like Sean Payton to couple that with Russell Wilson, probably actually now after a full year in Denver, probably get somewhat of a bounce back year. I see these two great football minds really meshing together and making a push to at least make the playoffs. Obviously they're not going to win that stacked AFC West, but I mean, a 7-6 seed is a pretty real possibility for them, and who knows? I mean, what ends up happening? See who he brings in, what how long it takes to build a decent culture. But I think Sean Payton's a great hire for the Broncos.
Yeah, this is very confusing, especially we saw Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport going at it. And I'm just like, which one's correct, But obviously Schefter, he did confirm it. And, when I saw the trade, I'm just like, no, wait, this actually happened, And then looking at it, both including Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, 5 first-round picks, a couple players, man. So obviously Broncos have no draft capital, so I don't know how they're going to improve that team. But again, I do think Nathaniel Hackett was a very big reason why this team sucked really bad. And obviously Russell Wilson, a great quarterback, and I would admit I did bash him this season, but looking at it, I guess he didn't fit with Nathaniel Hackett's coaching style and how he ran the team. And obviously Sean Payton, great coach, great with the Saints, but obviously he had Drew Brees. Now Russell Wilson, I do feel that this upcoming season, this year will be his get back. I feel this time letting Russ cook is going to be great under Sean Payton, especially now since Sean Payton's coaching style is great, how it was with New Orleans, and sure those 4 straight seasons or a couple of seasons where they went 7-9. I mean, but hey, it's really just the players all around it and just how exactly gets out coached. But obviously, it's a couple of years with Drew Brees. Sean Payton did step up a bit, but obviously they couldn't finish the Super Bowl with playoffs, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Did get a Super Bowl though in 2009 with Drew Brees. But it was very good. I do think this is a great signing. I do feel Sean Payton is going to turn this Broncos team around, and Russell Wilson will get his get back. Now, obviously, moving on to our final major head coaching signing, Frank Reich. He signed with agreements in terms with the Carolina Panthers. Now, the coincidence, him being the first franchise quarterback for the Panthers, and now he will be the coach. Frank Reich, there's controversy, not really controversy, but this is like he's not a good coach with how he was with the Colts, blah, 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 this and that. But, coming to this very young Panthers team, you got great players, Sam Darnold, sure, very rocky, but you do feel under a great coach, he will possibly succeed a little bit decently. You got young guys like DJ Moore. He's the franchise receiver for the Panthers, unless they decide to trade him or they don't give him a contract. And that young defense, you got J.C. Horn, arguably the most underrated defensive player, let alone cornerback, or just defensive player, probably the most underrated defensive player in the league. Very young team, but it's just almost their O-line, the team, the defense, both sides of the ball do need some switching around. I feel like Frank Reich, maybe first year with how the team is, depending what their quarterback situation is, I feel they would draft C.J. Stroud, but that is a stretch. Not really a stretch, depending what placement it is. But obviously, with Sam Darnold being there, who knows if they're going to stick with them or they will draft the quarterback early in the round. I think Levis from, I think it was
Will Levis from Kentucky.
Will Levis from Kentucky. He is another possible thing, or quarterback or CJ Stroud. Either one of the two, but again, it's arguably an underrated signing for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I really would have liked. I'm not too big of a fan of this hire. I mean, Frank Reich's a great coach, no doubt. I mean, he catches a lot of hate for not really living up to the potential in Indy, but I mean, realistically, you see, I mean, his best season was leading the Colts to 11-5 with Phillip Rivers as a coach. I mean, as his quarterback, a really over the hill Phillip Rivers, way past his prime. And then, I mean, he just had Carson Wentz. So we know how that went. And I mean, this season he had washed Matt Ryan and Nick Foles and Sam Ehlinger. So I mean, he was kind of destined to fail in these situations ever since Andrew Luck retired. So it's just been a lot of turmoil with the Colts. Sure, he catches an unfortunate reputation with that. But I mean, for this situation in Carolina, the hire doesn't really make sense to me. Honestly, I would have really liked to see Carolina give Steve Wilkes another shot, their interim head coach, who obviously this team was just awful. Don't remember their exact record, but in the end, he ended up carrying them to 6-6 in the last 12 games, put them into playoff contention, and just they were an improbable Brady comeback away from taking the South and making the playoffs. So I feel like Steve Wilkes would have been a smarter move, but regardless, I mean, I just don't think Frank Reich's gonna really work out long term. But I mean, in this a really weak AFC South, who knows? He could be a pretty decent move, short term. But in the long run, who knows? We'll see how this works out.
Before we wrap this up, we'll just hit on a couple of the coordinators that got picked up, let go. So. Obviously for the Jets, we were just talking about the Broncos situation, all this the forfeit with Russ and Nathaniel Hackett. Hackett will get another opportunity now in Robert Saleh's offense now. So Hackett will take over the offensive coordinator role for the Jets. And staying in the AFC East, Bill O'Brien makes a return to the Patriots after he was an assistant there for I think it was about 2007 to 2011. So I mean, he's obviously he was in Alabama helping Nick Saban's offense. Now he's going to start making an NFL comeback. And at least for me, the one I'm really big on, now my Rams are going to pick up the former Jets offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur. Obviously, we let go of Liam Cohen, decided to go back to Kentucky after a pretty rough year here, obviously, but just really big for LaFleur. I mean, obviously he got let go. It was a rough year for the Jets, really close to the playoffs, and inevitably I ended up missing it. But it was just a rough fit with him and Zach Wilson. So I feel with legitimately a better quarterback in Matt Stafford, and if they can retool the O-line, just retool the entire offense. Honestly, I feel like Michael Furr is a really decent guy. Obviously, he's a part of that McVay Shanahan coaching tree, so it's nice for him to make his way back, and I feel pretty confident about this hire.
Yeah, I mean, for a coordinator for the Rams, especially how you guys were, big pickup. So hopefully Stafford can shine under him and see where that Rams offense can go after a very abysmal year. Now, obviously, with my Cowboys, another big let go from here was Kellen Moore. Now, obviously, Kellen Moore, to start off with, he was good for the most part, but, it's just his inconsistency. It's really the main reason why we let him go. And obviously, I was a fan of this thing, but when I really look at it, he is top 5 in offensive stats for this team. And obviously, looking at this, with the release of him, it does look like that the Cowboys did think that this was not on Dak's fault. When realistically, we could put most of the blame on Dak. With me being a Dak supporter for 7 years now, I'm still riding with Dak. I let my emotions get to me after the game. But I'm still going to ride with Dak. Wherever he goes, I go. Whatever team he goes, Dak goes. But for the most part, he will be the Cowboys quarterback for the next year or two or so. And it's really going to pick. Kellen Moore's gone. And it's going to depict Dak Prescott this year and next year. If he can't make it to the championship, we're going to have to move on from him. Look what Philly did. They moved on from Carson Wentz, got a quarterback, built a team around him, and look, they're in the Super Bowl twice since 2017. They've been in 6 conference championships since the last time the Cowboys made it. That's pretty sad to hear for being a fan of this team. My loyalty runs strong with the Cowboys, but obviously then in just less than 24 hours, Kellen Moore, they get picked up with the Chargers. I do feel Kellen Moore's going to cook with the Chargers, especially with Justin Herbert, but don't get me wrong, he's a young mind. I think he's 25 years old or somewhere around there. He's a young mind, young offensive mind. It's just his inconsistency with the play calling the curl routes and the last play with Zeke at center. I had no idea what that was. I don't know why McCarthy decided to run with that, but obviously the main reason, they didn't get along, that's understandable, but really Kellen Moore's inconsistency is the reason why we did let him go. So hopefully he does shine in the Chargers. Hopefully, Justin Herbert, obviously he cooks with him, but, best to Kellen Moore. For the most part, it looks like Dak, pretty much the guy from here. Whatever next offensive coordinator we get, it's going to depict everything.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously throughout the entire season, we would constantly hear you talk about, your discomfort with Kellen Moore's play style. A lot of discomfort. I'm not really gonna go to just because obviously that's all you and anyone that watches this knows how you feel about Kellen Moore. But yeah, the main thing is here, like you said, getting picked up by the Chargers. He'll grow as a coach. Obviously, right after he retired, he got into coaching, and it's gonna be a learning experience. Who knows how he can grow, but all the best to him, of course. And of course, with all that will wrap up our news, and that'll wrap up this episode. We got, obviously a little different, a little longer than we would have expected, honestly, but all the best still. And obviously, season wrapping up. It's the episodes are numbered here. We probably got another 2-3 of this exact format before we actually finally do get into the different types of videos we'll get into. But all that being said, like always, want to thank everyone for watching, and just Christian, anything for you to close this up?
Nope, just gonna keep it out here. Obviously, like every week, not gonna be repetitive, but we'd like to thank all you guys. We'll keep it short. Thank you guys for just watching our videos, supporting us, to our couple of viewers that we get. Just us doing what we like, and we'll come up with new ideas to see during the off season. Hopefully, some mock drafts, or just talk about our teams, other teams, see where that goes. But still got a lot to figure out. We got a long off season, draft details, blah blah blah, this and that. But hey, whatever we can do, whatever we can put out, the best we can do. And this wraps up this episode of the Beans No Ball podcast, and we will see you guys next week for the Super Bowl intake.